with an update on AEW's Backstage morale and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 23rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking of Sensi 360, to promote Dynamite, AEW World Champion Jon Moxley said this about the promotion: "Wrestling fans are incredibly passionate, and they follow you anywhere, and I would compare it to almost like comic conventions and stuff, where the fans are really into it, and they'll really go out of their way to follow it, and that's what's great about wrestling. And another thing we're trying to do is build a new audience, and being on the ground floor of AEW has been really rewarding in that sense. And one of the things I wanted to do was really kind of push them that, like, we gotta go to Cincinnati, and like, I'm telling you, there's awesome fans there. We got a bunch of arenas. We can grow a big fan base in Cincinnati. So this will be our second time in, and hopefully just build new fans. And if you haven't seen wrestling in a long time, if you think of the 80s bodybuilder oiled up, fluffy hair, and clubbing each other in the face, that ain't this, man. We're on the cutting edge of what the sport can be, what the business can be. You'll see athletes do stuff you don't even see in the X Games. Guys like Phoenix and Will Ospreay, guys that can do flips from the ceiling and tops of the cages, and things that you can't even imagine, just jaw-dropping stuff. It's such a diverse array of athletes we have from all over the world, who with all these different wrestling styles. It's very not the cookie cutter way wrestling you think of from TV that you've seen over the last 10 years. We're definitely on the cutting edge of what the sport can be. And if you like sports competition, big fight feel, rock concert, X Games all rolled into one, you're gonna find something that you love and that can really drop your jaw, that you're gonna want to be there live to see. So we're excited to bring, and for any wrestler, it's a very satisfying thing when you make a new fan. And I think we're going to make a lot of new fans tomorrow night. In an update on a signing, Pat LaPrade reported that, "I just got the confirmation that PCO is re-signed with Impact Wrestling. The new deal will link him with the company until 2023 of October 31st. Very happy to sign a new deal. Impact did everything they could to sign me for another year," PCO told me. Talking about how Triple H's pitches were perceived before becoming the head of WWE Creative, head booker of NXT Shawn Michaels told TV Insider, "I have to say, for the past several years of Triple H and I working together, we've gotten used to it. It is pretty wild to fast forward to all these years later. It is quite amazing that these two guys who were innovative and creative and who really wanted to grow the business from a performance standpoint and a creative standpoint and a television standpoint are still doing that. But then I think it was seen behind the scenes as troublesome, political, things like that. Now, when you are in the position to use that innovativeness, creativeness in a professional and executive manner, it's really come full circle. We're thrilled. It's one of the things that keeps him and me young, the passion and love we have for this business as we continue to grow it and make WWE better and take it into the future." With Mandy Rose defending her women's title against Alba Fire in a cinematic bout, Shawn Michaels noted this about future matches like this in NXT. "Well, that's one of those situations where, again, our team here, our creative team and the studio guys in Stamford just do a fantastic job. That's people starting at 8 at night and going to 3 in the morning. That's people working their tails off in the middle at the time. That's not something I see us doing a lot, but at Halloween Havoc it just works. We do that outside, and the rest of it we bring to the building. That's not the sort of thing we'd normally do. That's just the sort of thing to do to continue the idea for Halloween Havoc, so we did it there. There was also a reference to T-Bar during Halloween Havoc, as Michael said this about stars returning to the brand. Excited. Look, so that's one of these things. It's not like we don't see what goes on out there in the social media world, and some sort of the shaking of the fist at the creative of the past few years. And we do what we can here creatively here to kinda, I don't know, wink wink, nudge nudge. We see ya and we hear ya. Look, I would love to be able to take credit for that, but I got a pretty good head writer here that comes up with some pretty snazzy stuff, Johnny Russo. That was just something he mentioned, a quick tease. I said that was fantastic. I've already given too much away. When you get a talent who was just coming into his own in NXT prior, and then the pandemic, and then things happened, and there were a lot of quick changes, and we lost a lot of people, and then over time, you know, they found out that, okay, maybe we're not sure how they're gonna finish the story they're in, and anytime they're willing to allow us to have the opportunity to have them back, we look at it. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but we look at it like a fun new toy. I mean, to be able to take guys with that much talent. One thing we try to do here, and we'll do our best, is to not insult the fan and not pretend like someone who wasn't there were a short time ago. Just connect the dots, tease it, and get you thinking and make you feel like what's gonna happen, and down the road we surprise you and you think that it's cool and it works. With WWE recently filing a trademark for the name Lyra Valkyria, fans either see that being for Sarah Logan or Taya Valkyrie, as the latter spoke to Wrestling Inc. about potentially signing with AEW. I just think that everything has to have its right time, you know? I don't think that I want to be thrown into something that's just going to be thrown away, or that I want to be in a position that doesn't make everybody happy. I want everyone to benefit from whatever we do. Speaking about potentially returning to WWE or even making her AEW debut, Lana revealed on the In the Click podcast, "I'm open to everything in life. If I put my dreams in a box, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, I mean, Triple H, he's a genius. Stephanie's a genius. I got hired by Triple H. He paired me with Miro and helped really cultivate that in 2014, that story and that gimmick and those characters. He really helped me develop the Ravishing Russian. So I think he has an incredible creative mind. I think he is an incredible storyteller and entertaining. If the story is right, if it makes sense, I'm always open to go back to WWE and tell compelling stories, and same with AEW. I'm totally open to that too. I love working with my husband and creating and telling stories. My biggest thing is like, I don't want to do anything mediocre. I don't want to be average. I think that's what Dennis Rodman was saying to me is like, don't be good, do something that you're great at. So if I come back, when I come back to wrestling, I want it to be a great story and be compelling. So until then, I don't have to go back until I feel like, okay, this is going to be great. I look forward to it because there's nothing like the wrestling fans and having that emotional connection with the crowd and with the fans. I love our fans. There's nothing like it. Revealing his best moment from his pro wrestling career, WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle said on his podcast, "That's my number one moment in WWE or anywhere, any wrestling promotion I've been a part of. The milk truck incident was the coolest thing in the world. I was so grateful that Brian Gewirtz came up with that idea. He copied Stone Cold's beer truck incident and it was excellent. I really loved it, and dousing down Stone Cold Steve Austin and Stephanie with milk was the coolest thing in the world. I mean, I had the whole alliance in the ring and I'm spraying them down with milk. It's actually food-colored white water. Well, they put food coloring in the water. Well, the milk jugs and cartons were real, but that's another story about the airplane ride that night." Speaking of Kurt Angle, he would also recently give his thoughts on CM Punk's comments at the post-all-out media scrum, saying Vince would have lost his I don't know CM Punk enough to say what kind of person he is. I'd be willing to just say he's a good guy, but what he did at that press conference was inexcusable. Speaking about the all-out brawl, the altercation between Sammy Guevara and Andrade, and the previous issues between Guevara and Eddie Kingston, Dutch Mantel said on Smack Talk, they have been saying for a long time that AEW has trouble backstage, and even some of them come out and say no, no, no. I can see them trying to cover it up, but they do have trouble backstage. Now, what does that tell you about their discipline? They don't have any at all. No discipline whatsoever. Now, they got rid of Eddie, they suspended him, but at least he got some punishment out of it. But did they suspend him without pay or with pay? Surely they suspended him without pay, because, I mean, if you slap somebody and they're gonna send you home and pay you too, that's a good gig. Slap somebody every week. If I was Tony Khan, I'd send both of them home, Andrade and Guevara. I don't care who spouted what, because they were told not to do it, but I heard Sammy threw the first punch. That's what I heard. Regardless of who threw it, they were talked to. We won't do nothing. And I keep hearing is that Andrade wants to get fired. With the Wrestling Observer previously reporting that AEW is in talks to buy out CM Punk's contract, Wade Keller of PW Torch gave an update on the backstage morale of the company. One thing that I'm hearing from people I talk to in AEW, active wrestlers and otherwise, is that one good thing that came out of this Punk, Kenny, and Buck situation is that the leadership void, or leadership slots, have been firmly filled by Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson. None of the three is a perfect leader, but the three collectively are stabilizing to that locker room. And I'm not going to do a long thing about the shortcomings of each of them as leaders. Like I said, not one of them is the perfect leader for this moment in time in that locker room, but all three are good leaders, and collectively they can help steer the ship. This locker room in AEW is not in disarray, and I've been reporting this too the last couple of months, even before the Punk thing. I was told it's not as bad as the headlines make it seem. You have what's going on with Britt Baker's camp and Thunder Rosa's camp. You have Sammy Guevara being immature and a lightning rod for controversy and making bad decisions. People like Sammy, but they groan at Sammy's decision making. You had Andrade doing what he did for whatever purposes he did it. Maybe he wanted to be a part of Legado del Fantasma and he was trying to play that card. Maybe not. Maybe he just got irritated by Sammy and needed to do what he did. But whatever that was another incident. And then also the Sammy and Eddie Kingston thing, of course. And you had the MJF controversy. And then you had the Punk, Kenny, Bucks thing. The Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker thing is not solved. I don't know how the Sammy situation will be addressed going forward. But I think there's been two high-profile situations with Sammy that's sort of like two strikes. So I think he's going to have to grow up and mature a little bit. And I think there's going to be some leadership steering him in that direction now. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.